Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to a brand new episode of BosBabes. I'm your host, Brittany Baldi of the BosBabes Lifestyle Sports Podcast. I could not be more freaking happy today to have on TJ freaking Lavin. You guys have to know who he is. He is literally one of the greatest BMX riders of all time. And obviously the MTV Challenge host. I know him, of course, from my season of 26 of the challenge. But please stay tuned with us. You guys are going to learn so much about TJ, where he grew up, how he met his wife, BMX, and everything in between. So TJ, we're going to start it off with, I know you're currently living in Vegas, Nevada, but did you grow up in Vegas? Where are you from? And what type of a town did you grow up in?
Yeah, I was born here. I was born right here in Las Vegas. So my whole life I've been here. I've actually been in this neighborhood my whole life. It's a little bit up the street, maybe 5 miles away, is where the house that I was brought home to pretty much. When I was 9 months old, I moved into the house that I grew up in all the way up through till I was 18 or 19 when I moved out. And that was it.
So what is that town like? Is it a big town? Is it a small town? Obviously, you've been in Vegas your whole life. You've done a ton of traveling with the challenge. So obviously you get to explore a lot. And I'd assume that you did a lot of traveling while being a BMX rider on different tours. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about your hometown. Is it like big? Is it small? Did you have any siblings growing up?
Las Vegas is pretty big. It was small when I was growing up. It was like 250,000 people, or maybe 300,000, and then all of a sudden now it's 2.5 million. So it was like all the way up through then. It's been growing and growing and growing, and it's been getting bigger and better. And it's crazy now because we have teams and we're like a real city now. And so I love it.
I love the fact that you have literally spent your entire life in Vegas. Do you have a fond childhood memory from when you were growing up, whether it be with your parents or whoever you lived with some friends?
Yeah, I mean, my whole life was just also revolved around BMX and BMX riding. So we had like a team of kids in my neighborhood. It was called Deli Delight. So it was Team Delight. The restaurant that we would ride to is called Deli Delight. And it was like this little deli that was like 10 miles away or something. So all that time on the bike helped a lot. And then I always lived about 12 or 13 miles away from my school that I went to. So I would ride a BMX bike that far. It's a long time to ride, you know? So it takes you forever to ride there, like an hour and a half to ride back and forth. And it's that much time on a bike is going to get you better because it becomes like your feet, you know? So you just get better. And it like my memories of riding back then were so funny. And then I snuck in the backyard of this guy named Nick Herda, and he came home and he's like, let's start a BMX team called Herda's Hot Shots. Let's do it. So we did. And then we became the #1 team in the world. It was pretty cool.
That's pretty badass that ever since a very young age, you kind of just developed a huge group of friends where you guys sound like you were very much so into BMX. You even used to bike ride to school, which is super amazing. So you were obviously always working on those skills. Your freaking legs must have been jacked.
Yeah, they were. Like I had crazy calves and stuff like that growing up. Like I always had sick calves and big quads and things like this. It's so funny because my body is so skinny and my arms were so skinny and my everything else was so whatever, but I had these pretty jacked legs.
Super interesting. I had to just ask that question. Obviously, if you were bike riding so much, I just had to ask that. Do you have any funny family travel stories? Anything aside from traveling with BMX? Like, did you guys go to Florida sometimes? Did you guys enjoy going to the mountains? Did you take little vacations to the beach?
A little bit here and there. Like I rode in the back of a truck all the way to Oregon, which is far. I rode in the back of a truck to Reno. I used to drive like in the back of a bus. We rode a bus to Texas. I've done like a lot of traveling like that, like pretty far drives in situations. You're like, dude, there's no way I'd let my kid do something like that now. You know what I mean? Like there's no way. And when I think about the things that I've done, I'm like, dude, I'm really lucky that I never got killed or something crazy happened, you know?
That's awesome that you spent a lot of time doing those long road trips. And your mom or your grandmother, do you have any like favorite homemade meals that you enjoy that you can remember that you can tell the listeners right now? Like anything in particular that you're like, dude, whenever I'm home, like my mom or my grandmother or my aunt like has to make me this today. Like I need it now.
Yeah, that's macaroni and cheese. Like no one can make macaroni and cheese, even just the box mac and cheese, the Kraft mac and cheese that my mom can make. You know what I mean? She makes it special. I don't know how, but and when I was a kid, she'd cut up hot dogs sometimes and put it in there, and it's like hot dogs and macaroni and cheese was just crazy. I loved it.
Hot dogs and mac and cheese sounds like the jam. And we're going to be totally touching upon everything. Of course, you are a incredible athlete. So we have to start off by asking, which athletes did you idolize as a kid? And what sports did you play when you were younger? Obviously, you got into biking very young, but did you also enjoy playing maybe some baseball or basketball, anything aside from riding dirt bikes?
Well, I played baseball for like 9 years, and I think I made one good play my whole 9 years. And like it was brutal. Like it was I signed up for it every year because my friends did, and I didn't want to be left out, but I can't believe that I played that long and I hated it. Like I just sucked so bad. I would strike out every time I went up to bat. I dreaded going up to bat, and I knew that I was just going to strike out because the very first time I went up to bat, I got hit in the eye.
Oh my gosh.
The very first pitch of me being up to bat, I was excited as hell to play, get up to bat, get up there, and then all of a sudden I got hit in the eye. So I got knocked out right away. Like that was my opener. It was the big fat shiny black eye. And so I went back up to bat that game after getting hit in the eye. Like I didn't even quit. I stayed in the game, played the game, and I struck out right away. Like I was just swinging at every pitch, just mad. But I struck out, and then that started a streak of probably like 1,000 strikeouts in my life. Like I only hit the ball like probably 3 times or 5 times out of 9 years. And it was like pretty good hits, and it was awesome. And it was great. But I mean, what a life of misery that baseball was to me. It was unbelievable. And then I got into speed skating, like roller skating with 4 wheels. Like it was so fun. And I did real good in that, but I was little, and like everybody else was real big. I graduated high school at like 5'3", 100 pounds. So I got into wrestling in high school, and I was a wrestler, and that was good because it was only 103s. So I wrestled 103s. I never even had to make weight. So I'd go eat with all the boys or whatever at lunch, and there was nothing to me during like getting ready for the match. It was no big deal for me. Like I didn't even have to really make weight. It was hard. It wasn't even hard at all. So after that, I went to I was riding BMX, and I was getting really good. And my wrestling coach was like, "You got to stay off those bikes, dude." And I was like, "Man, you know what? I'm not going to go out for the team next year. I'm going to ride BMX." And he was like, "TJ, you are making the biggest mistake of your life." And I was like, "Okay." And that was it.
And it's like the rest was history because obviously you are, I would say, one of the most well-known BMXers of all time. Actually, my boyfriend and I, we were going through some old Sports Illustrated, I believe like last week or the week before. We were doing some like spring cleaning. And I was like, what the heck? Like, look at that really cool old card. It was like a stat card of you in that Sports Illustrated. So had you not given up the wrestling and had you said, screw it, I'm going to try to be a pro baseball player even though I hate the sport, I'm so happy that you obviously decided to stick with BMX because look at where you're at now. So my next question is, as a kid, like, who did you idolize as pro athletes? Did you enjoy watching baseball? Did you enjoy watching the X Games? Like, who did you idolize as a kid as far as pro athletes before you went pro?
Well, I liked baseball cards, so I liked Don Mattingly a lot. But I never liked baseball. I never liked watching it. I couldn't stand it. And then when I got older, I met a couple of professional baseball players, and I didn't even watch them play. Like I would watch my friend Reed Johnson. If it was on TV, I'd watch it. But I never went to a game or anything because it was like so far, and he was always traveling and everything else. And it was like so far to go to a game, and it's and I can't stand it. Like I'm sitting there, I'm just like, dude, this is brutal. And I don't want to be like that. Like I love him. So I don't want to be like that to his sport. And so I never really got into watching any kind of other sports, any ball sports really. I still don't even watch football or baseball or basketball or nothing. I got a Kobe Bryant basketball. I love Kobe. He was awesome. I loved Michael Jordan. Of course, I love Tiger Woods. Like if you're going to watch golf, you got to watch Tiger. But I never really cared about any kind of ball sport, really, you know. Like one of my really good friends is Gabby Reese, and she was a volleyball player back then, and she was like the baddest volleyball player, model, most awesome person ever. And so she got into golf, and she was going to be a pro golfer. So that she introduced me to some of the biggest names in the world, because she's the biggest name in the world, you know. And she like took me to one party, and I met Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and all these people. Like you're like, dude, Charles Barkley, and I couldn't believe that I was standing in a circle of people with these dudes, and they were like, oh my God, like this is the Twilight Zone, you know? So but I had no idea about their games or anything like that. I watched Michael Jordan win a couple of championship games, and that was about it.
Well, it does sound like you did enjoy watching some of the greats like Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, and of course, Kobe and Michael Jordan. Like everybody has to follow them, especially if you grew up in our generations. Although you didn't really care for those sports that much, you still sort of identified with some of those competitors, and maybe that competition like played out with you as a BMX rider in the future. You guys are now listening to TJ Lavin. He's actually a BMX rider. He probably still does it on the side. We'll ask him about that in the future later on in the show. One of the greatest BMX riders of all time, and currently has been for years, the MTV Challenge host. So at what age did you decide to actually start going all out, like becoming very competitive with BMX? Obviously, you are a badass athlete. I heard that you are known as the king of dirt, and you are very well known for tricks, backflips, and competing in multiple X Games and tours. So I guess when the heck did you decide? Obviously, it sounds like somewhere after giving up wrestling, like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to put my heart and soul into it.
Yeah, when I was 18, my mom was like, all right, I'll give you till you're 19 to make a living at this. If not, you got to get a real job, because this is getting ridiculous, you know. And I was still living at home, 18 years old, and I just graduated high school, and I was like, all right, I'm holding it wide. This is what I do now. And then Nick Herda got me into a contest called the King of Dirt, and there was 20 top pros and me. And so there's 21 guys on this list, and there's never been 21 guys in the King of Dirt until then. And it was because of Nick Herda spending all that money and everything else, like with the ABA, American Bicycle Association, and Gork, who's running that contest, said, you know what, I'll put him in as a favor for Nick Herda. No one knows him. No, it doesn't matter. It's okay. I'll put him in as a favor. And he did. And, you know, thank God he did, because that night I won. So it was 20 top pros and me, and I won. So like the guys that won the X Games, like Jay Miron, he just won the X Games in '95, which was the biggest thing ever to happen to BMX, you know. We watched it, and I watched him win the contest. And while we're sitting in this living room of my friend's house, he's like, "Why aren't you in this?" And I was like, "Because I'm not pro." And I wasn't pro because I wasn't even getting paid. I didn't even know. I had no idea how to. I didn't know how to enter a contest. Like, how do you enter a contest that's never been happened? You know what I mean? That's never even happened or anything. So it was really hard to think about how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to make this contest. And you know, I got in, made the best of the opportunity. And then the next day the sponsors started coming in, and then I just started getting invited to all the contests. And then as I was getting into the contests, I just kept winning, and then winning and winning and winning. And then like everybody was like buzzing about this dude from Vegas. Like nobody ever heard of him. So it was cool.
That's actually a super interesting backstory. And I kind of like that your mom put the pressure on you. She's like, TJ, all right, dude, you graduated high school. Either make this a career somehow, some way fast, or you have to get a real life job. And you're like, you know what, mom, I need a chase the dreams and see what happens. And it's like everything just started to fall into place.
Yeah, like it wasn't even a dream of mine to be a pro BMX guy because I didn't even know that existed. Like I was just a dirt jumper. I knew I wasn't going to be a pro racer because pro racers are big, buff, awesome dudes, and like there's no way I could do that. Like those guys are so fast and so good and big, and I just couldn't compete. So there was no chance for me to be a AA pro and win. There's no way. So I didn't. And then I just made this new round, and it was good.
So as far as the dirt jumping goes, how did you get over the fear of falling or getting hurt? Obviously, that must be something that goes in your mind or everybody's mind. You have to do some type of like psychological training. Obviously, you guys probably use the foam pit, but like, what is it like psychologically training for BMX, doing those flips, doing the back flips, and like basically not being afraid to get hurt? Because if you're afraid, I would assume you get injured more easily.
Yeah, well, the thing is foam pits weren't even invented yet. So there's
Oh,
no
crap.
foam. Yeah. We would chop up the landings. So we were jumping into dirt only. So it was chop up the landing to where there's like an inch of play. And that way, when it crashed, it wouldn't get cut up so bad because it wasn't the cement that you make dirt. Pretty much you make dirt as hard as concrete by using water and then a flathead shovel and packing it in. It's crazy because you pack dirt with water and a flathead shovel, right? If you look at my backyard, it's concrete. The whole thing is super like perfect concrete, pretty much. But it's all dirt. So you're using, it's the same aspect as water with the rock and the sand, and you put it in and you make it like real smooth like glass. And so if you do that, it's gonna suck when you crash. So if you chop it up and then make a little inch play, it's not so bad when you crash. It still hurts. You can break bones and everything else, but it's brutal, but it's not quite as bad as the hard pack. So we would do that, we'd chop up the landings, and that's how we'd learn tricks.
That's pretty badass. I had no clue that back in the day they didn't even have foam pits, and you guys just basically were like winging it and like, hey, let me try out different ways to land and do these tricks. And if I get injured, I guess it is what it is type of thing. But I think it's so cool that you were able to get over that fear. I mean, it sounds like you were pretty fearless, if anything.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I knew there was a chance and there was a risk, but I broke my elbow the day before kindergarten. So I was definitely a little bit of a loose cannon when I was a kid. So like I wasn't scared about things. I didn't really pay attention too much to what was dangerous or anything like that. It was just about having fun, and that's how I just kept going. Like, didn't matter. It was just so fun, and to me, like, it was just passion. I just loved being good at something, and loving what I did, and then making money at it just was not even in the question. And all of a sudden, I was making money. I was like, yeah, right, and I did. So it was crazy.
Super incredible. I love that I asked that question because I feel like you are giving the listeners so much great backstory on who you are as a BMXer. A lot of people just know you now, of course, as the challenge host. But for you guys that don't know, again, TJ is a badass athlete. So whenever we, the competitors, are up there on the challenge, if we hear him telling us something to do, like, it's not just him sitting there telling us to do stuff. Like, he probably would do all of those challenges himself because he is just as badass as everybody competing on the challenge, if not more badass than most of the people competing on the challenge. So I want to ask you, what do you feel like is your biggest accomplishment as a BMX athlete? And I know that you have won 7 or more X Games medals and numerous other accolades. So what do you feel is your biggest accomplishment as a BMX athlete?
I think it's the longevity. Like, I was in it for 15 years. So being relevant for 15 years was pretty cool. That was awesome. I think that first contest, that first night that I won, when no one heard of me, and then all of a sudden I came out of nowhere and won, that was probably my biggest accomplishment because that set me onto a path that changed my life. And that's something that, like, I'll never forget, is the night that, we didn't have cell phones yet. So I went to a payphone in Oklahoma City and called my mom, and I was like, I won. I won. Can you believe it? And then she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, hey, how much did you make? I said, $500. I'm retired. So
That is an awesome accomplishment, and that's really cool that you have such a fond memory of that. Do you have a favorite BMX track that you either A, used to compete at, or B, that you used to practice at?
yeah, my backyard is definitely my favorite. Like I loved it. It was so fun, and I knew that place like the back of my hand, and I could ride it. Like it was, I could ride it better than anyone in the world. And so when people would come over, they would see it, and it would just be like, "What the hell?" And the transfer lines and things like that we would ride were next level. So it was fun. It was real fun to bring pros back there, and they would be like, oh, they'd be nervous, because it was a serious situation back there. There's no doubt about it. Like it was definitely serious, and a lot of people got hurt a lot because of how crazy it was. But it was great.
That's pretty sweet that your favorite track is actually the one that's in your backyard right now. Do you have a favorite warm-up song or like a specialty routine that you used to go through to get yourself hyped up before competing?
No, but I can tell you this. I loved Bush a lot, like back then, like the band Bush. And when it was like Machine Head, like I would hear that song a lot, and that because that was playing in 1996 or 7 when I was there, like right up there, and it would always be playing. So I would be on my way to a thing, and that would get me kind of pumped up because they would play that song a lot at the contests, and then I would win. It was cool. But I remember a ritual that I had. It was like I would just eat a piece of pizza and drink a soda before the contest, and that's it. I would never eat, never anything else. I would never eat anything else, drink anything else. Didn't do anything like weird. Didn't put any socks on or anything like that. Like it was just like regular socks, regular whatever. But every time I would take a shower, and in the shower I would think about how that shower was going to feel after the contest, and I knew that all the pressure would be off my shoulders, but I would probably be hurting because I would have slammed a couple times. Because most often than not, you would crash in contests, like either crash in the prelims or crash in the practice or somewhere along the line. You're slamming, and you're gonna get really messed up because it's all hard packed dirt. So it's the hard packed stuff that I was telling you about. And so I knew that you're going into it knowing that you're going to get hurt 100%. It's just a matter of how bad.
Oh my gosh, that is such a interesting and almost wild thought. It's like, I'm going to go compete. I have to get myself in this mindset knowing that I'm most likely going to get hurt, and hopefully it's not a serious injury. I think that's pretty cool that you enjoyed listening to Bush and you liked pizza and soda. Like that was like your hype up thing before competitions. Who did you enjoy competing against? Was there anybody in particular like Dave Mara or any of the other top people that used to compete back in the day? And then are you known for any specific trick? Like, is there any crazy trick that people are like, dude, that's like TJ Lavin's trick all day?
Yeah. Like Superman seat grab is probably my trick. That's like a trick that there was a Superman seat grab, and then I just took it to another level. It was pretty cool. And it was in one magazine, like back when they had magazines. It was a magazine spread, and it was a cool photo shoot because I drove from my house, went to the airport, picked up the photographer, drove them to the dirt jumps that I had across town, took this photo of this Superman seat grab, and he was like, dude, you just changed the game with that. And I was like, oh, really? He was like, yeah. I was like, thanks. And then I took him back to the airport and put him on the plane, and he was gone. In one day, we changed the game. It was like in a matter of a couple hours. It was so cool. Like when I look back at that, I'm like, damn, that was a really amazing day. I went and picked up this dude named Mark Losi, took him to the trails, did a Superman seat grab, brought him back to the airport, left, and he was like, he changed the game. He was like, dude, you just blew everybody's mind. They're gonna freak out when they see this. And when I get the photos, and then he sent me the photo, or he said no, he sent me the magazine. Like I didn't even see the photo, and I was like, oh my god, that's sick. So then I got call after call, like, dude, what is that? You know what I mean? So that was cool. That was one of the biggest things. And then the Superman nothing, which is like like let go of the whole bike and you're doing a Superman. That changed the game too. And I learned that in the practice of the King of Dirt in New York City from my friend Stephen Murray. He told me to try it, and I invented that. So, like, he was telling me to try it. He's like, dude, you could do this trick. He couldn't do it, but he was like telling me to do it. So I just did it, and all of a sudden I was doing it. And he was like, dude, this is it. That was it. That was sick. And then ever since then, like, it's been done again, of course. But it was really cool. That changed it as well. So those are my two contributions that I think, like, things that never have been done, and then that changed how things look in BMX, you know. So like those are really cool. I was stoked to be that part of that.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch some highlights of you doing the Superman seat grab. I think that is freaking amazing that you were able to accomplish something so wild like that. I kind of have an idea of what it looks like. It's like, I don't know in particular, but are you like holding onto the handlebars and like your legs are like flailing in the air, sort of like your butt is off of the seat?
Kinda. I'll send you one. I'll send you a picture of it. I'm trying to look around and see if I have one in here, but I don't see any.
I will definitely have to look it up online. For those of you guys that are interested, you guys can search TJ Lavin and look up Superman seat grab. And I think it's pretty freaking badass. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I did some research on you, of course. It looks like you have or had your own PlayStation game called TJ Lavin's Ultimate BMX.
Yeah,
so
I did.
That's pretty sweet. So yeah, let's talk about this PlayStation game. It was called TJ Lavin's Ultimate BMX. Like, how did you get chosen for that? Like, what is the game about? Like, it's pretty sweet.
I don't know. I've always had a relationship with MTV since I started. It was cool. Like, it was weird because, like, at one point I was doing sports and music festivals, and I was in the contest, and I was one of the BMX riders, and I BMX rode and with Tribe Called Quest in their last public appearance together back then, and I was in the contest right in front of their stage. It was awesome. I co-hosted with Rob Zombie the motocross event, which was awesome, and so MTV came out with this video game, and they were like, well, we should get TJ, and I was like, honored, let's do it. So we did it together, and it was awesome. So it was MTV's Sports and Music Festival, or it was MTV's whatever. Like they had something to do with it. I don't remember what they did, but anyway, it was my video game, and then there was two other BMX video games at the time. So BMX had its heyday, you know, and I was at the very pinnacle, like luckiest dude in the world, like I say. And it was the most fun time to be a BMX rider for sure, because every city that we went to, it was amazing, you know, and everybody knew us, and it was cool. And it was like we had video games. Like, that's insane. Like, it's so ridiculous. And I don't even play video games. Still, I don't even play. And like the first board on my game was my backyard, my track. So when they came over to film my backyard, they were like, all right, we need you to do all your tricks on the first set, which is huge. And it's hard pack too. So there's no chopping up that landing or anything. It was just like, all right, now we have cameras all the way around you, everything. So we want the rider to look like you. So do all your tricks on the first set. And I was like, all right. So I did right there. Every trick I knew how to do on the first set of my jumps. And it was like the scariest day of my life. Got it done, but it was sketchy. And like, when you think about it back then, I was like, damn, dude, the things I did for those video games and that shine.
That's pretty freaking sweet that you were able to have a PlayStation game alongside MTV. It sounds like you've had a long-standing relationship with them, but pretty amazing that you had your own PlayStation game called TJ Lavin's Ultimate BMX. If you guys are interested, go check that out. It actually has a really cool photo on top of it. It's like him doing some sweet tricks. So go Google that. You guys are now listening to TJ Lavin, legend BMX rider, and obviously very well-known MTV The Challenge host. I was on season 26 of The Challenge, and as a rookie, I think I did pretty damn good going into all those eliminations rounds. I feel like at one point TJ was like, dude, like, quit sending in Britt and Adam because you guys are just harping on them. We are going to be talking all about The Challenge later on in the show, but before we even get into The Challenge, we have so much more to talk about regarding BMX. So you've already poked the bear a little bit. We know that BMX is a very harsh sport on the body. You've talked about injuries, breaking arms, all types of very scary things. I'm sure you've witnessed friends getting injured and whatnot. In 2010, during a dew tour in Vegas, you suffered a really bad injury. They actually had to put you into a medically induced coma. So I want you to kind of talk about that whole process. It could be very short, of course, but what was the whole rehab process like for that injury and getting back on your feet again?
Well, the day before the contest, a dude got hurt right in front of me, and he was a friend of mine, and he got hurt and put into a medically induced coma, and as well, which really means that he never woke up. And then I was scared to death, and I was sad, and I was sick in my stomach, and I had no idea that the next night I would be right next to him in the next bed over, same situation, coma. So, and like, it's a movie. Like, no way you could ever say that would be, you'd be like, that's fake. You know what I mean? Never happens. I've never seen anybody go into a coma. I've never seen anything happen like that in my life. So when I saw it, and then I was riding the next day in the contest, those feelings were even more scared, you know, to where you're like, okay, the shower's not going to feel the same, of course, but now you can die. I didn't realize that was possible. And so I did. I crashed really hard and hit my head. And when I did, I got knocked out and never woke up 2 weeks. So the medically induced coma is basically just putting you into a medically induced coma because your brain is swelling and you're not waking up. So when your brain is swelling, it's pushing out on all the pressure on your skull, and it can kill you. So they make it to where you don't have any activity at all going on in there. So when I woke up from that, it was really bad. Like I didn't know nothing, and I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone really. I squeezed my girl's hand for a lot, and I didn't know what that meant, but I guess I squeezed my hand a lot on that. And then also a thing that helped out a lot with it was music. People, they were playing music. My favorite band is Bliss and Esso from Australia, and when they were playing Bliss and Esso, I would mouth the words. So I was out, and they would mouth the words, and like people would come in with crazy accents. My friend from Bulgaria came in, and Justin Booth came in actually with his crazy accent, and I remember hearing that stuff. So it's kind of weird. Like you're there, the dudes are there, whoever's in a coma. So if anybody sees this and that has somebody in a coma, the chances are they're going to wake up. They're not going to know anything, but you can get better. And my thing was like, I went to the oxygen chamber a lot, every single day for a month. I was in this oxygen chamber, the hyperbaric chamber. So I would go there every day and spend an hour a day in this oxygen chamber for a month, and it helped a lot. I think it helped a lot. I would hate to see myself without it, you know. So, and I had a 4-month window from the day I crashed to the day I was leaving to go film. So I knew I had a goal to get to, and I had to get better. I had to do right, and I couldn't let Justin down, and I had to make it right. So I had to get good and do it. So I did. I was at speech therapy every day. I was at physical therapy every day, learning how to walk, talk, count money, everything else, you name it.
Super wild that you were able to, it almost seems like you were able to process information even though you were in that coma. I'm obviously not that familiar with comas. I do know that people have to be on breathing tubes, I believe, and feeding tubes. But even though you're in a coma, your brain is still processing that information and recognizing music, and you're able to squeeze, and you're able to sort of, your brain is still functioning. I think that's so interesting that you were able to express that to the listeners.
Yeah, you don't want to, like, definitely, if the guy is in a coma and then he's like out, but there's some movement there, then you know that there's something working, you know. But at the same time, there's some things that are like like I could have went the other way and died, and it wouldn't have made any difference to me, like at the time, you know what I mean? Like it was like, all right, cool, it had a good run, it was awesome, see you later. And then it wouldn't have been like super sad or anything like that for me, you know what I mean? Like it would have been crazy sad for my mom and then my wife, and she wasn't my wife yet, but for my girlfriend and my friends and everybody else, you know what I mean? But for you as the person, it's not that big a deal. It's not like, oh my God, this is brutal, you know what I mean? Nothing like that. I mean, my wrist hurt real bad, like 'cause my wrist is real banged up right there.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
And but other than that, like I don't remember any pain really. You know, I broke my orbital and everything, but it wasn't hurting too bad. It was just all black eyes and broken, stuff, but it was fine.
Well, thank you for talking about that injury. I'm sure it's a tough topic to talk about, but I just wanted people to kind of understand how dangerous BMX can be, and also the fact that you are back 10 times stronger than ever, crushing it. I don't know if you still BMX on the side for fun. I think you said you still have your track out back. Obviously, you are still doing stuff with MTV and being that great challenge host, so you obviously recovered very well. I wanted to talk a little bit about charity. I know people that listen to the BosBabes Lifestyle Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Baldi. You guys know that we love talking to our sports entertainers all about charity. I know that one of your good friends, actually, he was a fellow BMX rider, Stephen Murray, who you've talked about in the past on this episode. Stephen, unfortunately, is, or was, I don't know if he still is, paralyzed from the shoulders down. Yeah. I would assume it's probably from a bike accident, and you love to raise money, and proceeds go to the Murray Family Fund. So if you don't mind talking a little bit about your friendship with Stephen and kind of how you help him out and how you help raise funds for that fund.
Yeah, he's actually back in England now. So yeah, Stephen, anything I can do for Stephen, that's first and foremost. But I love Stephen Murray. He's my brother, and he's paralyzed from the neck down, double backflip accident in the contest, and it was just amazing that his perseverance is next level, because he still has a good attitude and he's still a sweetheart. And I'll call him, have a FaceTime concert with him. I'll play guitar for him and stuff and sing to him. He loves it, and so we hang sometimes. But he's just an amazing individual, and times are tough, So I help them out as best I can. And then my other charities that I work with are FEET, like Families for Effective Autism Treatment. They do the A Games, which is like the X Games, but for kids with autism on the spectrum. And they're all just badass kids. Like they're amazing individuals. And I've met a few people from doing that, and now I have some of my best friends are autistic dudes. One of them is named Parker Fitzgerald. He's a buddy of mine, and I call him every day, hang out with him. I hired him. He works for me here in Vegas. My other friend is Nicholas. I call him Coach Nicholas. He comes and works out with me every morning, and he's awesome as well. So I have him train me, and he's awesome. He's actually teaching me some karate moves that he's learning online right now. So that's a party. He's a great dude. But I work with those dudes and have fun with them, and try to hang with those guys as much as I can. One of them I take to open mic every week, which is at the Tap in Boulder City. It's this open mic thing that I play guitar and have fun, and I have him go up there and sing, and everybody loves him. They can't believe it. So it's pretty fun. And then also I work with homeless youth, trying to help out the homeless youth as best I can, and trying to, and the homeless people in Vegas. We gave I think around 250 sleeping bags out this year, with the Karma Project and things like that. So some of the things that we work on are doing good for homeless, trying to help them out. So it's pretty cool.
Well, TJ, it definitely sounds like you are doing a lot of good within your community and obviously helping out your friends. Please continue to do so. That is so amazing. I love when my listeners are able to hear how our pro athletes give back to their communities, and it sounds like you are doing that in a number of ways. I wanted to just wrap up the BMX talk. You obviously crushed it. I loved learning so much about the sport and about you and how you got into it, and the fact that you spent your whole life in Vegas. You've obviously competed there. You have your own track in your backyard. I want to switch it over to your wife, Roxanne. So first of all, she's absolutely stunning. If you guys do not know who Roxanne Lavin is, you guys can find photos of her on TJ's Instagram. She is beautiful. And I wanted to bring her up because although I've never met her, just the photos that you post about her and everything that you guys do together, it looks like she's just as active as you are. So I need to find out, how did you guys meet and how is she such a positive influence in your life currently?
We met where all couples that stay together forever meet at the Hard Rock Hotel here in Vegas. So yeah, that's where we met. We met at the Hard Rock, and I just walked up to her and I was like, "Are you her?" And then she said yes, and I was like, "All right, well, cool, then let's do this." And so we've been hanging out ever since. It's crazy, and I knew that she was my wife. I knew that she was the one. That was it right away. Second I met her. And we've been together ever since. It's been awesome. And it's crazy because her level of energy and zest for life far outweighs mine. Like I'm been there, done that guy now. And it's like, all right, I've done it. It's cool. It was great. And I don't want to really do too much as like her. She like hikes miles and does camping trips, and her and the girls go out and do whatever all the time, and I'm like, you're doing it, you're living life. I love it. So she calls it living her best life, so she's doing it.
Yes, you guys are both very active. Roxanne looks like she is just as active, and you're kind of saying that she might even be a little bit more active than you are now.
Yeah, way more.
I remember seeing you do a post, I think it might have been a year or two ago, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it might have been for one of your anniversaries or your honeymoon. You guys did like a triathlon or some type of decathlon.
Yeah, that was so stupid. I know. That's something that we did. Like, she signed up for a half Ironman, which is no joke. Like, it's real hard. And she was training the whole 6 months, whatever. And she's doing it. And then out of nowhere, my friend Ben Bostrom signed me up for it. And I was like, dude, I don't appreciate that. And so he was like, I go, but I can't not do it because it's $350 to sign up for this thing, right? So he signed me up for it, and I'm like, all right. So I had 2 weeks to prepare for this thing, and I didn't. So I just went there cold turkey and sent it, and it was like brutal. And the last mile, Roxanne passed me and she beat me. But I didn't quit. I just kept going. I was like, I'll get done someday.
I think that is super amazing, though, that you guys did that together as a couple. And it shows, again, how active you guys are and how much of a positive influence you both are in wanting each other's lives. So I just wanted to briefly touch upon Roxanne because although I've never met her in person, I love seeing all the great posts that you put up of you guys. And she seems absolutely amazing. And I wish the best to the both of you.
Yeah, she's bad.
I want to hop right into now the challenge. I know that a lot of you guys that are listening, of course, you are sports fans and you are fans of MTV's The Challenge. If you guys don't know what the challenge is, I'll give you some brief backstory on it. In my opinion, it's more than opinion. I think it's fact. It's one of the longest standing reality TV shows of all time. I think it's on like season 35. It's somewhere in the 30s at this point.
Yeah,
long standing TV show. 36?
Yeah, it's coming on. It's on right now. It's Iceland. The one that's airing right now. It's going to be airing tonight. That one's 36.
Holy cow. So it literally has been on for 36 seasons. And I had the opportunity to compete on season 26 as a rookie. So I wanted to ask you, what did you think about me and Adam getting thrown in so much as a rookie? For those of you guys, again, that don't know too much about the challenge, the whole show is about a bunch of people competing for money, and we do a lot of crazy badass challenges. I kind of went in cold turkey. I didn't even know that I could get selected for this TV show because everybody before my season actually came from the real world. I came from a different TV show called Are You the One? I literally had like zero training, didn't really know what I was getting myself into because, again, I had no idea except for having watched a couple seasons. So me as a rookie, I got thrown into a lot of eliminations. I had such an X on my back. And I feel like every time we were standing up at that podium getting ready to be put in the elimination, I feel like towards the end, TJ had this look in his face like, dude, are they really going in again?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I knew, like, because it's always the thing. Like when you're the rookie, you're getting thrown in no matter what. Like that's just the go-to, the scapegoat, whatever. Now that you have to earn gold skulls or red skulls, and you have to go in and get your gold skull or red skull, it's a different deal. It's a whole different process now because in other words, if you don't have a gold skull, you're not going to make it to the final, right? So that's a whole different level. That's the reason that we made it like that now, is because we don't want the rookies just getting sent in over and over again until they get kicked out. You know, it sucks. So I like it better when there's something to shoot for.
That's pretty cool. I like that you guys tried to change up the game a little bit so people don't always have that constant X on their back. So before we even get into the challenge and kind of how some of your favorite memories and all that fun stuff, I wanted to ask you, how did you even get involved as the TV show host? Obviously, you already mentioned that you had a background with MTV. They helped create that video game with you back in the day. But like, what was the process like getting chosen for that role? And you've been doing it for a number of years. And obviously, the theme of the show fits how badass you are as well. So it's like a perfect fit.
We had a backyard barbecue in my house here that I have now. 22 years ago, when I built this place, I was like out back, and this dude Vinny Potestivo was like, I don't know what he was. He maybe be a PA or something. He was like really low on the totem pole back then, and he would call me every year after that backyard barbecue, which was part of the Sports and Music Festival back then, right? So we had a party in my backyard, 600 people, had everybody here from Ashton Kutcher to Tony Hawk. I mean, it was, and everybody in between. They were at my house in the backyard watching us do this crazy tricks. So after that, Vinny would call me every year. And one day I was signing a contract in downtown New York City and Times Square. And there's an MTV just happened to be in Times Square as well. And Vinny called me while I was signing this contract, and he was like, yo, come up to my office. And I was like, what? He's like, I have an office over here now in Times Square. And I was like, all right. So I did. And then that day he said, do you want to host a show? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you want to host a show called The Challenge? And I was like, oh, no, that's Dave Mira's show. He goes, no, he's over it. Give him a call. And I go, all right, cool. So I called Dave Mira on the spot. And Dave, I was like, Dave, you want to? They want me to host this show, but I don't want to take it if it's yours. And he goes, no, I don't want it. You do it, dude, please. He's like, you'll do it for like a season or two, and then you'll be over it too, probably. And I was like, all right, cool. So I hung up with him. I said, all right, I'll do it. And then they had us do like these demos, and I sent in a demo. And it was me, Nasty, and one other guy. I can't remember. It was a pro snowboarder. He's a really good looking pro snowboarder dude. And he's just a badass dude. And I can't remember his name right offhand, but he was awesome. And I thought he was going to get it for sure. So then, but then when we went to Buena Murray to have the meeting, they were like, all right, who do you think we should take? And I said, Nasty, because I was still winning BMX. I was still doing really well bike riding. And I figured Nasty could use it because he wasn't winning that much back then. He wasn't quite as focused as he is today. And I was like, all right, Nasty, you take this thing, you know? So I was like, Nasty, you should take Nasty. He has more charisma in his pinky than anybody has in their whole body, which was the truth. And he was awesome. So Justin Booth wanted to take Nasty, but MTV said, no, we need TJ. And that's how I got the job. Like Vinny Potestivo and Jackie French are responsible for me being on the challenge right now because of Justin was like, all right, I'll take Nasty. TJ said, let's take Nasty. Let's do it. And then the MTV was like, no, we're doing with TJ. Sorry, this is it. And so that was it. And then the first day that I was working in Trinidad and Tobago on the challenge, me and Justin went and had lunch, and he was like, dude, you're my host forever. You're my guy. And I was like, really? Are you serious? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, thank you, man. And it was crazy. And so he and I became brothers, and like we're best friends and brothers, and we call each other every day and hang out and talk, whatever. So it's cool. I love the guy.
It's super amazing. It almost sounds like you didn't have to go through the typical, like, look for the audition, go to the audition. It kind of like fell into your lap almost. And
No, 100%. I have there's no way. I promise you, it was 100% luck. Like, I mean, it's great that, they loved me after, and we're doing, I do a good job. I've never been late or anything like that, but I try my hardest and try to be as helpful as I possibly can, no matter what. And that pays off. That's how you be a longevity. That's how you gain longevity in whatever business it is to make yourself reliable and helpful and be good at what you're doing.
For sure. And your personality and charisma, like I mentioned a little while ago, definitely fits the badass theme of the TV show, The Challenge. I want to ask you, when you're not on set with the cast, like, what the heck do you do in your free time? Like, do you get to go out and explore wherever you're at?
Usually, when you're not COVID land, it's awesome. I love it. But now that we're in COVID land, it sucks. I can't stand it because I'm locked down. It's like I'm with everybody, and you don't want to break protocol, because if you do and get sick, then you ruin the show. Like, no one can work. And so it's really, they're depending on me not to do anything stupid. So I don't. And I'm trying to find a vaccine now. You know what I mean? I want to get vaccinated, get dialed, and be good, because we get tested every day.
When it's not COVID, you are not, during the pandemic, you guys are actually able to go out and explore and probably try out new foods and do different excursions.
Yeah, like I'm friends with everybody in whatever town we're at.
Do you have any favorite spots that you've traveled to that the challenge has taken you to? Like, I know obviously the show is filmed in various different countries. Do you have like a couple favorite countries you've gone to?
Oh yeah. I love Thailand a lot. Like, their freedom and riding motorcycles that are like scooters everywhere. Like, I had the most fun in Thailand. Me and Danimal rode scooters with my neighbor. We rode scooters all the time. Like, that was my mode of transportation. So I loved it because it was like so cool, like in and out of cars and just no problems, no rules. It was awesome. But I love every country that we've been to pretty much. I absolutely love it. And it's amazing. And it's like, from Iceland. Iceland is incredibly beautiful, to Queenstown, New Zealand is probably one of my all-time favorites. It actually is my all-time favorite. I love Whistler, Canada. When we were there, I fell in love with that place. It felt like Park City to me, but Canada. And then I rode mountain bikes a lot while I was there, so I was partying. I'm very, very, very blessed to be on the show that brings me to these crazy places and then live in the place, and have the coffee people be able to know what I want. It's pretty damn cool.
I think it's awesome that you were able to describe some of those memorable moments that you obviously are fully enjoying, traveling everywhere. And even myself, like, I loved doing the reality TV shows because we were able to travel to so many different places, whether it was Are You the One? I filmed that in Hawaii. I got to go to Panama with you guys, going to LA, like, such a great experience. I wanted to ask you, I have to ask this question for those of you guys that are listening and are diehard challengers. You probably want TJ to talk about this question. What are some of your favorite challenges? Obviously, there's the heights, there's the final, there's water challenges, there's puzzles, there's trivia. Are there any challenges in particular that you really enjoy watching people compete in?
I like the big rig challenges. The big rig challenges are pretty cool. Like, because big rigs are cool, and like, I love that stuff. That's scary. The high challenges are fun too, when we're on a rooftop somewhere or whatever. I love that. Of course, trivia challenges are awesome. I think trivia challenges are fun because I'm engaging with the people a lot more. And then when they take a fall from 35 feet into the water, it's hilarious. I crack up to that. But I just don't like having to do the questions, every single question over again. Like, I hate that. Like, it's like, damn, dude. And then they're like, and pretend like it's funny. I'm like, it's impossible, dude. I'm sorry, I can't fake laugh. I'm not an actor, so I don't fake laugh. Just so you know, every laugh that you see on the TV is real.
I like it. So for you guys that are listening, you are hearing TJ talk all about some of his favorite challenges and some of his least favorite challenges. And if he's laughing, That's all him. It's not fake. He's obviously not an actor, so he enjoys watching people do their thing on the show. And we all know, I mean, I definitely know because obviously I was a cast member on the show. You literally, TJ, you hate when people quit. So if somebody wants to quit a challenge or quit a final, you're over there like, come on, man, are you really going to quit? Like, is this the end of the show for you? Like, why are you about to quit? Like, I've seen a handful of people quit, whether it be in a challenge or they don't want to do something specific in the final. What is going through your mind when somebody's about to quit, and what can you do to try to change their mind if they're about to quit and you're like, come on, just do it, just do it?
I just
talk
tell
about people quitting.
I tell them how much they're going to regret it, and I'm right. You know, they are going to regret it. Like the second they get home, they're going to be like, why did I quit? That is the worst, stupidest thing I could have done. And I mean, I could have just tried, but no, it's hard to accept when somebody quits, because I know that they're going to regret it. I know that they are instantly going to regret it. The second that I say, okay, cool, you're done, then they're driving away in the car. When they're driving away in the car, they're going to be like, why did I quit? That was so stupid, you know? And it's like, I know it. They know it. I know that they know it. And there's a million people in the world that could have taken that spot that they're just giving up like nothing.
That's a good answer. I wanted to ask it because I remember watching season after season and me being there in person, seeing people want to quit or not put together their best foot forward. And it's one of those things where when you're about to get eliminated or if you're about to quit or whatever the situation is, you definitely do regret not doing something a certain way because you're like, damn it, I could have stayed on there longer.
Yeah.
Quick little backstory on me for you guys that are listening. Again, I was on season 26. Adam and I got thrown into a ton of eliminations. Adam and I actually lost in elimination 4. Adam, it was like him and I did so many crazy, extravagant things on that show. And we ended up getting knocked out because the dude, we were facing Avery and Johnny, I believe. She was with Johnny because that was her ex at the time. And Adam freaking jumped up and missed the bell. I was like, bro, of all things, dude, you missed the bell when you jump up. Like, you probably don't even remember that challenge, TJ, because you've done so many after that. But, like, I vividly remember him jumping up, missing the bell, and me being like, dude, of all things. And I say, I feel like I had to ask you that question because I know that you hate seeing people quit. My next question is, how is it seeing people like CT and Johnny Bananas come back season after season? They're kind of like the face of the TV show now. What is it like working alongside guys like that? And both of them were on my season as well.
I love those guys. I think it's great. They're fun. They're cool. We're all like one big family, you know, dysfunctional family. Everybody's cool. I enjoy, you know, I'm pretty much friends with everybody. Like, I like everyone. Everybody's cool.
I just wanted to ask that because obviously, again, me having known CT, we both grew up in the Boston area, and knowing Johnny, knowing his girlfriend, like, they definitely are great people. For those of you guys that are listening to the BosBabes Lifestyle Sports Podcast, don't just base somebody's personality off of TV. I try to tell people that all the time, myself being a cast member. It's like the way that we get edited sometimes, or the specific things that people showcase, that's not us all of the time on TV. Like, we are just normal people too. So please don't try to like judge somebody like myself or CT or Johnny just on things that you see on TV, because yes, that's a small portion of who we are, but it's not us all of the time. So we're going to switch on over. It's true. It's true. I wanted to switch on over and ask you, because we're about to wrap up the show shortly. I know that we've been going a little bit longer, but you have such awesome answers that I wanted to continue a little bit. If you could describe your ultimate final, what would that look like? For those of you guys that are listening and might not know what the final is, it's literally hours, sometimes days of grueling tasks. You guys, the competitors are fighting for a cash prize, and there's lots of twists and turns and surprises. So, TJ, if you could put together your ultimate final competition, what would it look like? Would it be in the snow? Would it be like climbing up a mountain? Like, give me some details on if you could put together your ultimate final for somebody.
Well, I do help put together some of the finals, and
oh wow!
And sometimes we do, you know, think of things and how hard something would be, but for the most part, it's Diego and Justin are the guys that come up with these crazy, and Emer, they come up with these crazy finals and these crazy things that you see. I think, you know, it's better, it's best if it's not overnight, because overnight stuff is brutal. So for me, the ultimate would be starting super, super early in the morning and ending early in the morning. You know what I mean? Like to where it's like 24 hours of brutal. And like instead of starting it at noon and ending it at 2 or noon or whatever, I would rather start it at midnight and then start it and then finish it at midnight, you know, to where like they're running all day and night. There's no stopping. So I feel like that would be a pretty sick thing. Or if they started at 5 in the morning and then we ended at 1 in the morning or whatever.
Is there any challenge that you haven't seen done yet that you would like to see happen on the show in the future? Like I know you said you love the big rig ones.
I love the big rig ones, but I also would like us to cut out eating. Like I would love to cut out the eating part. Like the eating, I'm against eating. I don't like the eating. But other than that, everything's fair game. I have to say eating animal products. I don't want them to eat animal products anymore.
Good answer. Good answer. You guys are now listening to TJ Lavin, legendary BMX rider. And of course, he is the long-standing host of MTV's The Challenge. Obviously, I got to compete on season 26 with TJ alongside, obviously, Adam was my competitor at the time. You are listening to him talk all about everything in this podcast episode. His BMX injury, how he got into the sport, some of his buddies that he's competed with back in the day, growing up in Vegas, and all types of amazing stuff, like even meeting his wife. So please stay tuned. We are going to be wrapping up the show shortly. But of course, TJ, I need to ask you about this brand new season. I know you can't talk too much about it, but this season is going to be called All Stars. I know you guys are lightly throwing information out on social media already. Mark Long, I believe, was one of the main people that helped start up this show idea.
Yeah, he is. He definitely did. You know, I got to give it up to Mark Long, man. He followed his dream and he sent it and he made it happen. He's the reason that it happened. You know, he is the sole reason that it went down. And then, you know, of course, everybody came in and helped out and everything else. Like as soon as Julie Peasy got involved, it hit the ground running, you know, and so bravo, Mark Long, man, nice work.
Yeah, and I know we can't speak too much about it, but I did ask Mark lightly if we could talk some quick details about it. Mark and I actually are good friends, and I actually knew about this way before the show even started filming. Believe it or not, he had this idea in mind like 2 or 3 years ago. He was like, Britt, I have this badass idea where I want to bring back all of the OG challengers and just see kind of like what happens. And he started this big campaign where he started like his Instagram, and he wanted everybody to follow it and see who was going with the whole process. And like you said, props to Mark Long, because he is the one that made it happen. And I know that you were able to host that season as well. Again, obviously we can't get too much details, but are you able to at least talk about maybe when the show might be airing? And is it going to be on MTV or another platform?
No, it's going to be airing pretty soon, and it's going to be on Paramount Plus. So keep tuned in to my Instagram, and you'll see when it's going to happen. So I believe tomorrow I'm going to be posting some stuff about the Paramount Plus. So if this is live right now, then tomorrow I'm going to be doing it. So Thursday, the 4th.
Okay, cool. So if you guys are interested in seeing what Mark Long helped put together alongside MTV, Paramount, and obviously TJ, keep updated with TJ and Mark's social media. They're going to be dropping little hints at when the show is coming out. I'm excited to watch it. I believe that season is called All Stars, and I'm very much so looking forward to it.
It's going to be awesome.
I am looking forward to it. Before we wrap up the show, I know that you are very much so into music, so we're going to completely wrap up everything about the challenge and BMX. I loved hearing everything about it. For those of you guys that are listening and are challenge fans, I wanted this to be a very special podcast episode because you guys are always watching the cast members on TV. You kind of follow us on social media. You know a little bit about our lives. And it's like you need to have the TV hosts get interviewed because they have so much fun behind the scenes stuff that probably goes on all the time. And I applaud you for teaching me a little bit more about the challenge that I didn't even know about.
Oh, thanks.
With music, you enjoy, I think you can play the guitar, correct me if I'm wrong, and piano. So let's talk about music. And I think you actually dropped your own album a few years back as well. So let's talk about music. Let's completely switch over from the challenge in BMX and talk about some of your fun secret talents that people probably don't know about.
Well, first of all, I'm an incredible roller skater. That's something that nobody knows about me. And I'm going roller skating this weekend, this Saturday, with the wife and all of her friends. And I'm going to show them what time it is. So my roller skating skills are next level. But my guitar playing skills are getting there. I'm working on it all the time, every day. I love it. I love playing guitar. I do have a few albums out there and rap songs and whatever, and I love that too. I play piano as well. I've been playing piano my whole life. For as long as I can remember, I've played keyboards and piano or whatever. And so one of the first things I bought was that piano right there, little baby grand.
That's pretty sweet.
Or my guitars up there. So, yeah. So, I have always had a love for music.
Cool that you enjoy rollerblading. Hope you and your wife have fun this weekend.
No, rollerblading. No, roller skating.
Oh, roller skating. Oh, the one with the four? The four wheels?
The quads, yeah.
Oh, badass.
Yeah. Dude,
super
like the
cool.
old school kind. Like, you know, like I see all these roller skaters on social media. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have to post one day.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, because I feel like most people don't really do that often anymore. So I think if people see TJ Lavin roller skating, they're gonna be like, dude, I have to freaking roller skate.
Yeah, that's right.
And I wanted to ask you, this is a favorite thing that I like to do with my people that I interview. What are some of your favorite game day eats? So if you're getting ready to like compete, or maybe before a challenge, I know you already talked about some of your favorite foods that you enjoy. Is there anything in particular, I like to call this game day eats, that you like to eat?
Yeah.
Aside from your pizza and soda, TJ, aside from pizza and soda.
Is Le Thai. And Thai food is like, that's my favorite. Thai food is the joint. I go there every single day. And I just eat it every day. They're closed on Tuesdays, so if they're closed, I'll go to Mexican food, and that's it. I do it every day.
Awesome. So TJ Lavin's game day eats. He definitely enjoys his Thai food. And positive pop. I love wrapping up my show with some positive pop. So if you have any positivity, like a positive quote or like a positive song or something that the listeners can take away from your whole episode, what is TJ Lavin's positive pop?
Please be kind.
Please be kind.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I said please. So that was even kind. You know, I'm asking you to be kind. Just be kind to each other. There's no time for hate. Well,
TJ, I super appreciated having you on the show. I loved learning so much about the challenge behind the scenes and getting to know you as a BMXer and athlete. Thank you so much. Shout out your social media so people can follow you. I think most of it is just at TJ Lavin, but where can people follow you on social media?
That's it. Just at TJ Lavin.
Perfect. So follow TJ on social media. Please continue to listen to the Boss Babes on Spotify, iHeartRadio music app, and of course, iTunes. I'm your host, Brittany Baldi. You guys can also follow me on social media. Thank you so much, TJ. Cannot wait to see you continue to crush it.
Take care. Have a good one.